If they're willing to share all of the information about their sale, the other property that they need to sell is currently on the market. It has a lot of activity. That agent may need to get involved with you as the buyer's agent to make absolutely sure that the house is getting plenty of action, that it looks like you're getting offers, that it will sell within X amount of time in the area that it's in. Do a CMA against that house and see what the average timing is for homes to be selling to make sure that you're not putting this client in an unnecessary risk. If you're going to add that contingency, the sellers can remain in the house after closing, for example, or while we're going through this process, we need a longer closing period, or whichever. But don't bring it in at the last minute. Make sure that you're exposing these things early on. You're working with the buyers and the seller's agent to make absolutely sure that all things are transparent. No surprises. Surprises will ruin a transaction faster than anything else you have going on in the market. Sure, things happen, but bad news doesn't get better with time. So share it, absolutely get that in front of everybody, and post it in writing afterwards that per our discussion, the following things are an uncommon risk to this transaction that we just want to make sure everybody has awareness of. Dates and deadlines. Dates and deadlines are probably the biggest strong suit that you can use against an offer, right? Using these things strategically to smash competition is absolutely going to make an offer stand out. Flexible closing dates. These are going to outshine a fixed one in a heartbeat. On or before language absolutely helps your language get there sooner. Why? It shows that you're not expecting obstacles on the buyer's end that are going to prevent you from being able to move forward with plans. Think about it. If you've got two offers in front of you on one of your listings, one can close within the seller's timeline, but the other one needs 60 days because they need to sell their home and they need to get additional financing. Which one do you think is going to be more appealing? It's going to be an easy position to be in on the seller's perspective. Both buyers are going to have a house to sell and a financing contingency, but all things being equal, moving that one timeline, the flexibility of that closing date is going to be everything that they need. Just a quick hack once that I landed a buyer a beautiful home for. When in a multiple competing offers scenario, and it does still happen, have the buyers submit a shorter offer acceptance deadline. I've even had buyers submit a cash offer above with no contingencies, where the listing agent said that they're going to hold all the offers until after an open house. We set a 24-hour offer acceptance, making sure that they understood that we want to avoid the open house. Our offer is strong. We're willing to pay at or above asking price, and we're willing to hard money the escrow, meaning that the $5,000 that we're putting down as your escrow deposit is guaranteed to be yours if we don't close for the terms of this deadline. These are all things that can be very attractive to a seller. Why put themselves through an open house if they don't have to? Only because an agent is going to want those leads, and the agent's going to be pushing for all the work that they did to prepare for it. We're no different. We like that too, but please ensure that it's your listing owner's decision of whether or not to accept the offer and close the open house. You need to let them know that there's some greed involved here too. If they get greedy and they go into the open house, that offer may become just a more traditional offer and not have those additional advantages from them. So be mindful of how you use that. It can certainly backfire if the seller tries to do better at the open house opportunity. But it can certainly prevent that listing agent from leveraging your buyer against competing offers and to keep you out of a bidding war scenario, because nobody wants that, especially if they're doing financing and they're having to contend with some of the interest rates that they have out there today. Your buyer always has the option to submit another offer through or during the open house or once that deadline passes. But understand that if you're going to create that leverage, we've all learned this from our sales lives in the past, don't tell me this is my offer and this is the deadline of this offer. It's a one-time scenario. And then afterwards, I give them the same offer anyway. They need to have lost those advantages by waiting. Next is probably more towards those of you that are research centric. You need to understand the market and how to use it to your advantage, right? As an agent, it's your job to coach your buyers through the home buying process. You need to make sure that they understand the current market. The knowledge is critical for making your offer stand out. And if your buyers know that we're in a low inventory, tight sellers market, they're less likely to do these lowball offer tricks or a loaded offer with a whole bunch of contingencies. In a buyer's market, you can help your client score a really good deal and possibly some seller concessions and repairs. Right now, I would consider in Florida, again, with the exception of some inventory challenges, we're a pretty even market. We have higher than most of the states as far as average home sale prices. So it's nice for a seller and a buyer to be able to come together and do an equal give and take. A buyer needing some additional down payment assistance or needing some of their closing costs and fees taken care of, and a seller being able to understand that I'm going to get full asking price for my house. This should be something that I shouldn't have a problem doing. You do need to show your buyers a few things first so that you can help them understand what type of market and the competition for homes is actually going on out there. A ton of metrics, God knows, in real estate to understand the market. We've got an insane amount of tools, and some of those tools are even contradictory to each other. But what you don't want to do is show all of your clubs to your buyer and simply overwhelm them with a bunch of data. Most of them don't know what all that data means. Depending on their personality type or even their culture, they may be a lot more numbers centric. We've talked about that in our personalities overview in former classes. But it's important for you to be able to understand how to properly communicate with them and leverage their need for that extra intelligence so that you can take them to that next level. So housing inventory. Reduced inventory can really be an eye-opener for buyers. And I don't mean, look around Florida, we've got a ton of houses available on the market. Not so much. The amount of homes, quality homes in an area that a client is looking for, that's what the housing inventory is about. It's not about how many houses do we have in Florida. That's great. That's a nice national comparative average number that they like to use at the NAR and at the state of Florida levels for that matter. But you need to understand that if you're moving into Tampa proper, if you're moving into downtown Sarasota, the opportunities for the houses that you want or the right size houses can be pretty tight. So it's important for you to make sure that in a lower inventory areas or low inventory markets, it can be a while before the right house meets the wants and the needs of your client. They shouldn't have to make do because we as agents want to get the deal closed sooner. Sure, time and energy, ROI towards our efforts pays off faster if we can get them under contract and get them moving towards closing. That should not and should never be our motive for getting a client in front of other homes. Yes, do we have clients out there that just can't seem to stop home shopping? Be smart enough to know that. Be smart enough to tune your day. You are in charge of your schedule. That's why you got into real estate to begin with, and why you're not working for a major corporation that dictates your timing. You get to decide, okay, client, I have time on Saturday to see 5 houses or maybe even 6 houses if they're in close proximity. So let's decide to do a morning or an afternoon together, or if we're going to spend the day together because we're driving outside of the area, fantastic. Let's book the whole day, but this is what that day is going to be like, and this is what your expectation should be. They are going to be exhausted. Know this. Use this. Understand that you want it to be a good experience. You can't just wear them out running around town. So be intelligent with your planning and the way that you're scheduling the day as well. Days on the market. In a seller's market, he who hesitates is lost. That's only in a situation where properties are quite literally flying off of the market. There's no room for hesitation there whatsoever. Buyers have greater leverage in their offers at that point while homes don't typically sit unsold. Then we start running through that perception that, oh, this house has been on the market for more than 60 days. There must be something wrong with it. Simply not the case. And I'm going to go back to what we talked about for housing inventory a moment ago. Don't let the amount of houses we have on the market fool you. Don't let the age of a house on the market fool you either. This can be happening because of interest rates, and we are putting ourselves in a situation where we have smaller optics. So it's difficult for a lot of home buyers to be priced in or to get the appropriate amount of financing. So it's going to take longer to find the right house and an affordable home and get under contract. 2, in a situation where you have less buyers in the market looking, it's going to take longer for a house to get under contract as well. In a balanced market like we have now, sellers are also allowed to be a little picky. They can take their time. They don't have to be in a rush to sell it. So don't let days on the market fool you. We're not in a market today where that's going to cut your throat. You need to make absolutely sure to make intelligent decisions and make sure to put all of the right inspections in place if you think something's going on. Listing versus sales price. Yeah. If an area home sells above asking price, you want to be able to show buyers the properties where they can actually compete. To make them ultra competitive, you need to find homes listed below their maximum loan value, so it gives them more pricing leverage. If you end up in a market where you've got to pay above asking price, you better make sure that your client is coming in a little bit lower on the LTV so that they know how to make appropriate offers towards homes and show a little more buyer strength. Assess the competition. That's an easy one, right? If you're in a flooded market with all cash buyers, you've got investment bankers coming in and they are trying to leverage their cash availability by sinking it into the real estate market, essentially buying up all the available houses around you so that they can turn it into rental housing. You better be able to consider how your offers are going to make you a solid contender. Fewer contingencies, faster closings, making sure to acknowledge that you are an individual or a family and not a corporation might be the knowledge that they need to make a decision. There are a lot of people that are very anti-corporation buying up their area. So just make sure that you politely give them the truth about who you are and who you represent. Number of offers before getting accepted, right? Showing your clients how many offers they may need to write up before they get the home of their dreams can often slow down that anxiety a little bit, kind of keeps them from giving up too. Call it pain management, if you will. But if you let a client know this is what's going to be happening, this is what could happen to us as well, don't get frustrated. It's part of the process. Certainly lets it know. No different than, hey, this is a molar removal. We're going to have a little anesthesia. We're going to have a little pulling. You're going to have some soreness in the process, but ultimately you're going to feel great and be happy with the decision that you made to have that molar removed after we're all finished with this process. So work with me on the pain. I'll keep you informed of everything going on, and you'll feel so much better about it once we find the home you need. The relationship business.